Shalom. I'm gonna get into part two of the video, the lesson I did yesterday, to get more into who controls the world. Because you've been given a presentation that the politicians control the world. You know, these so-called heads of states, these presidents, ambassadors, and what's the other term they use? Pretty much these heads of states, the presidents, ambassadors. Um, you think most people think they really run the world, but what's going on is a hidden hand that controls them that they have to answer to. So all the government institutions have been, bought out by, the elites. They control the whole system. They control what you see, what you don't see, what you believe, what you don't believe, your whole sense of education. They're not gonna never tell you what they know. You got to be stupid to think that. They're not gonna never teach you the truth either, Jake. So that's why you have to seek the truth out in different alternative ways. You think the people that want to remain so-called rich and wealthy and to rule over the people, you think they want you to know what they know? They're not gonna never tell you that. They're not gonna never teach you that. So everything that you've been given is an illusion. It's disguised as something else. What's an illusion? Something that you think is something, but it's really not that. So most of our women get proud when they go to these institutions and get a degree of knowledge, going back into the Freemasonry structure. They don't know that these games and these rituals are being done on them. They're completely ignorant of this. Let's get more into this video.
It's a symbol of masonry. This is why you go to college to get a degree. Consequently, you need to understand that all universities and colleges in the Western world operate under the Vatican. All universities and colleges. So if you want to save your money to send your kids to college, just remember you're sending them to a Jesuit, Catholic, dominated ancient Roman Empire system, whereby your children are to gradually be indoctrinated into a system of religion, politics, and theology. As far back as the 4th, 5th, and 6th century, we know that
And that's going back into the Roman Empire, which would be that in the book of Daniel, this is the revised Roman Empire. That's why pretty much everything is the same. This is a revival of the Roman Empire that's called America. It's Babylon. Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon. It go by many names. And the religious systems that they gave you, that's why most of our people are Christians today, because they forced them, our ancestors, to convert to Christianism by the sword. They would put people to death. They would bring that cross and that missionaries, that so-called priests, to make you convert over to be a Christian. And then thus you can, they would brainwash, the children each generation. And those children will grow up to be indoctrinated, and they would teach their kids to be Christians and to see a so-called white man in their mind and to believe all these lies. You're in a society that you can't believe. Like most of these jakes don't believe everything that they've been pretty much taught as they lie. The whole solar system is based on Greek mythology, Greek and Roman mythology. Pluto, these are different gods. You don't know this. The days of the week are all so-called Greek, Roman, and what's that? Norse gods. So-called God, these idols. The days of the week, the days of the month. Get more into this.
escapade the popes. Many of them were homosexuals, most of them were murderers. They were all offsprings of bankers. The entire Vatican system was a banking system. Today's Uniform Commercial Code is based on the old Vatican canon law. So once you understand, the church, government, politics are all interconnected, and the secret societies have been manipulating them all from day one.
Basic New World Order and Illuminati, if you will, which is primarily run by the Rothschild family. The Rothschilds financed Stalin and the takeover of Russia, the Bolshevik Revolution, 1917. They have
so what they do, they have seized control of the nation's money. So the Rothschild family and the other families, even families that go back further than them that you don't know of. The Rothschild family is just one of the more name one of the families that's coming into the light that people are starting to get wind of. But most of the people are still ignorant of this fact. They don't know who they. You ask a common American who is the Rothschild family, they have no clue. They don't know what's going on. These people in darkness. So, matter of fact, let me get more into this lesson. Give me 1 second. And people don't know. They think the Illuminati is a conspiracy theory because they've been taught this by the means of the CIA that popularized that term. So when you hear that term, your brain automatically shuts off the information, right? And then what happened as well is the Edomites have set these different people up to lead you astray, to come up with all kind of confusion, and to actually make up stories, put false stories out here to get you confused, so you can just give up on trying to find out what the truth is. So there's many different snares in this world. That's why you have to have the guidance of the Holy Spirit. So Illuminati, right? That's going back into Lucifer. That's Isaiah chapter 14. Lucifer, when you go into the word, because a lot of Christians think the word Lucifer is talking about this, as you know, it's a spiritual demon, Satan. That word Lucifer, that's why you have to go into the meaning of words to break that witchcraft on you. Salakia. The word Lucifer means light bearer. So it wasn't talking about, if you read that Isaiah 14, it was talking about the king of Babylon. And this Babylon would be talking about America. So the current king of Babylon in the political field would be Donald Trump. But it's a power, that hidden hand that controls Donald Trump and all these political figures, starting at the Rothschild families. You know, these families that you never heard of, they control whoever controls the money, so-called controls the world. Let's go here. So this is one Adam Weishaupt, the one I went into yesterday. And the Columbia, I'm gonna get into that as well. The Columbian Guard and the Statue of Liberty and so on and so forth. Really, when you go into the Statue of Liberty, that goes back to ancient Rome, the goddess Libertas. You know what I'm saying? That's where they get this from. Everything is just reincarnated back. It says right here, 5 facts about Adam Weishaupt. And he made a quote that was heavy for us them remaining in secrecy. That's where their power is at. Give me 1 second. Let me find that. 1 second. Right. So at the top in 1776, Weishaupt, and that's actually going into, it's a lot of history, man, because the banking system comes from London, right? Because London had the World Reserve, before America got the, World Reserve. But they still go back into the Rothschild, Rockefellers, so on and so forth. All those different families, they still control the world. Nothing ever changed. It says right here, in 1776, Weishaupt founded the Order of the Illuminati. So that's really when they say America was created and, founded in 1776. That's really going back into the Illuminati order. It says a secret society dedicated to the pursuit of enlightenment. Remember, the word Lucifer means light bearer. That's why when you go into the so-called goddess Columbia and Statue of Liberty, so on and so forth, that's why they're holding that light, the enlightenment, right? They've been enlightening with the knowledge of good and evil, right? So they've been. That's why they look at the rest of the masses as goyim, or just sheeple, because really the people are sheeple. It says a secret society dedicated to the pursuit of enlightenment. That's why that eye, the all-seeing eye, which goes back to the eye of Horus, if I'm not mistaken. And then it goes back, all this stuff goes back to ancient Babylon, a lot of this stuff. That's why America is known as Babylon the Great, but it's under the political system of the Roman Empire. But it still has those idols from Babylon, from Assyria, from Egypt, rolled into one system, and so on and so forth, all these other kingdoms. That's why it's called Babylon the Great, because a lot of these mystery religions and these rituals go back to ancient Babylon. It says the overthrow of oppressive systems. So they, his organizations attracted by like-minded intellectual scholars and free thinkers. That's what your Illuminati, your Vatican, the J people. It goes on and on. The whole power structure go back to the Edomites. You know, they have branched off into these different sectors, but it's still one agenda, the New World Order. You know what I'm saying? Who shared his vision of a society founded on rationality, humanism, which is Satanism, and the freedom of thought. That's why they gave you liberty to destroy yourself. But he made a quote that the power lies into the secrecy of the Illuminati and these other, secret organizations. That's where the power lies at, to not let people know what's really going on. And if they put some information out here, so they'll be behind the false information that they leak out of here. You know what I'm saying? But I was trying to find this quote right here. I think I just read it from here. It says, the true power lies in secrecy and manipulation of others. It says the true power lies in secrecy and manipulation of others. It's like the same thing. Right. So that's where their power lies at, in that secrecy, and able to put out false news, false information to throw you off. Let's go here. And it's only through the Spirit of the Lord that we can wake up and come out of this slumber of what's really been going on. Who runs the world? Psalms 10:2. It says the wicked in his pride. And you go back to Obadiah, the pride of Esau, Edom. That's how you know it's talking about the Edomites. Everything meshes in. It says the wicked in his pride do pursue the poor. They even got this video that I was going to play, but I'm not going to have enough time, where this Edomite was mocking the regular people, the common people of the world. You know, saying they was pretty much, I forget the word he said, but he was pretty much saying they was insignificant. It says, let them be taken in their devices that they have imagined, because all these traps, all these different things that they set up to destroy our people is going to come back on them. They're not, contemplating on this coming back on them. Psalms 10:3, for the wicked boasted in his heart's desire, and bless his covenants, whom the Lord abhorred. Let's go to 4. It says the wicked, through his pride of his countenance, would not seek after Yahweh. Power is not in all his thoughts. So the Edomites created their own entities. They worship Satan, but they created these other deities, these idols that they worship, and they have you worshiping, like JC. Jivas is an idol that they created from Cesare Borgia, which goes back into Serapis Christos. Right? It's a lot of history there. But they created these idols that you worship, and they worship, right, to keep you completely lost. It says Psalms 10:5, his ways are always grievous. That's why everybody in the society is depressed. You know, they can't get ahead. It's strenuous. You know what I'm saying? It's they have oppressed everybody, especially you Israelites. Thy judgments are far from out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. That's why these Edomites look down to the common man, right? Especially you Israelites. They hate you, but you love them. But they hate you, but you love them. They go to show you the Stockholm syndrome and the sickness on our people, right? So going back to the Statue of Liberty, holding that torch. This is the guy that created this statue, was an Illuminati. Freemason, one or the other. He was in Illuminati, a Freemason, one or the other. But that torch, this entity, this deity is holding that light, going back to the Illuminati in Colombia. I'm just gonna have to do a whole lesson on this because it's a lot of history. Time just be flying by. The same thing, holding that torch to represent enlightenment, going back to Illuminati, Freemasonry, all this. It's all interconnected. Hopefully this lesson has been edifying. Call Allah Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachat, Kodash. Shalom.